My name is Dushan Zaric, and welcome to the 4 a.m. Chicken Soup Podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to 4 a.m. Chicken Soup. This is our first inaugural podcast, and I have a great pleasure today to introduce two kind of family members, good friends from our industry. She is the whiskey sommelier and the head bartender or lead bartender of the Rancho Santa Fe Inn. It's the Bing's Bar, right?
Bing's Bar, yep.
Yeah. Lauren Campbell, welcome.
Thank you.
And he is a good friend of mine, a man who works for my favorite Tequila Fortaleza, Mitch Wolf.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, thanks for coming. This is so cool. All right, I mean, we should start first by having a drink, no? I mean, you're at the barrage. You're at the barrage, right? So Mitch is sober, which, you know, for the month of November, right?
Correct.
Good. So we're gonna make you something easy, but Lauren and I, well, Mitch was so cool to bring us a bottle of Fortaleza. So we're gonna indulge a little bit. What do you say?
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds
Let's do it.
great.
It's
Yeah.
like,
I mean, I know
have I had solid food today?
You are the whiskey lady.
the breakfast tequila.
Yeah, you're the whiskey lady, but I think this is too good to pass on.
And we're in Southern California, so agave spirits are it.
Cool.
I'm leaning over to the dark side, even though it's the light side here. But
All right.
Blanco, the purest form of the expression.
there you go. Cheers.
Exactly. Salud.
Salud.
Guys.
Welcome to the barrage.
Oh, that's so yummy.
Yum. This is so delicious. All right. So what's going on, you guys? How's life?
Busy.
You busy?
We're getting ready for the holiday season, so
Right.
we're here in sunny California. It's kind of nice to just, see what this looks like.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. You've been living all over the place, Hawaii, New York.
Yes.
Now you're here. What's the difference between all these places?
Oh, gosh. Or the common thread,
Or
right?
the common thread. What do you take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate to have grown up in some really beautiful places. I was born here in California, but I wasn't raised here. We moved to Hawaii when I was really young. I lived on the island of Kauai for a long time, and moved to Arizona, specifically Sedona, which is a tourist place. So
I'm familiar.
kind of feel, it's like I feel like everyone knows what it is now, but 30 years ago, they're like, "What's Sedona?" But yeah, it's like tourism, hospitality, all that. Then ended up in New York after college, kind of on a whim. Thought I was going to do it for a year, stayed for 10.
Right.
Ended up getting into the whiskey business there. I was always in hospitality. I have a degree in
Sure.
international hospitality management. So, but then I found my way into whiskey through the Flatiron Room. So Tommy Tardy, I'm sure will get a copy of this at some point in his life. He's got some great brands out there. But and then a couple years ago when COVID hit, it was, the landscape changed in New York. We all lost our jobs in hospitality, and I was like, what do I do? Like, this is a different world. So I started working remotely for a friend of mine and decided to move across the country, technically 3 times. So fast forward, we're here in California now after a year of figuring it out, and back into bartending, which is lovely. So
How do you like it here?
I love it. I mean, you can't complain about the weather. I mean, maybe the traffic a little bit, but I live by the beach.
Okay.
There's nothing better than that.
I agree. Same here. But coming from New York, for me, this was kind of a cultural shock in the sense that they pull in the sidewalks at 8:30. It's like they're
early bed.
Yeah, no kitchen is
Early
open.
rise, though.
God forbid you're hungry at 9 p.m. But hey,
The 10 p.m. chicken soup now. So
yeah, I guess.
it'll go crazy.
Mitch, dude, you're like the most wanted person.
I'm insanely
In a good way.
fortunate. So I grew up East Coast of the United States,
Right.
went to school that neck of the woods, realized I didn't like the whole suit and tie thing, moved to Florida, got a job in a bar, met a lot of people that were from other countries, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I bought a one-way ticket, and I spent a couple years backpacking around the world. When my cash ran out, I wound up in San Diego and pretty much never left. I take off every once in a while. I've done a few other trips. We were talking about motorcycles. I've ridden my motorcycle from here down to Guillermo's distillery in Tequila, Jalisco. But San Diego is a pretty special place. You've got ocean right here. You've got mountains and desert within an hour or so, and you have another country with an amazing culture half an hour south.
And now we have a football club.
And now we have a football club.
We have a football club.
San Diego FC.
Yeah, so you know, I met you years ago. I met Guillermo even prior to that, and he always was kind of a mentor. I believe that he kind of kept the torch of doing the tequila, creating tequila, making tequila traditionally, and honoring that whole process. And I believe that it has been recognized by not just the industry, but the market in general. And your products are by far, in my opinion, the highest quality. And but what I think differentiates you guys as well is your attention to the industry and the educational element you guys are bringing. Can you speak a little bit about like where that comes from? I know that you guys do these trips together with some other brands. Can you speak a little bit?
Absolutely. So, well, thank you very much for the kind words. I always say what Guillermo does. Guillermo is a caretaker for the property, and he still makes tequila traditionally the way his great-great-grandfather did 150 years ago. So he's still using a brick oven, stone milling wheel at Tahona, open wooden vats for fermenting, and small handmade copper pot stills. We talked earlier, Guillermo is operating the distillery 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. And what we at Tequila Fortaleza are able to produce in an entire year working nonstop is what the big industrial producers can do in a few hours or maybe a day. What Guillermo realized at the very beginning is that unless you've got tens of millions of dollars to get your product out into the market, arguably the best way is to hand sell it to people who also speak to guests on a regular basis. So when this entire process started 20 odd years ago, Guillermo was literally hand carrying bottles into places, and that's kind of what I ended up taking a note out of his book. And I would share the history, of course, because it's a fascinating history, the history, the integrity, and the authenticity of the brand. But marketing isn't, the big billboards and the ads isn't what sells Fortaleza. It's the story, the history, the family, the connection. And Guillermo was wise. He would sit and he would talk to people, and people ended up taking ownership. They took a personal, not only for making such a beautiful spirit with only 3 ingredients, just mature agave, yeast, and water, no additives, no coloring, no flavoring, but by presenting it to people and then opening up his distillery. He is the most down-to-earth human being you've ever met.
That he's super charming.
He is.
Hey, Dushan,
I was gonna say it makes me think of a line from Pulp Fiction, but that must be one charming motherfucking pig. But he opens up the distillery. It's not. You go to many distilleries, whether they're whiskey, tequila, any other spirit, and oftentimes wear this hard hat, put on these goggles, don't cross this yellow line. At Tequila Fortaleza, walk into the oven, taste the tequila right off the still. My personal favorite, and that's something, and we talked about this before also, if you really want to know what a tequila is all about, Blanco is what it's all about. Blanco is the purest form of the expression. And at Fortaleza, you have the opportunity to drink it right off the still. So I always say the still strength Blanco, because every drop of Fortaleza starts life at a mere 46% ABV, 92 proof, and then either goes into barrels to become reposado or añejo, or we do what's known as proofing down, where we add demineralized water to get it from 46% to 40%. So most distilleries, as you know, and when it comes to whiskey, of course, it's much higher, but most tequila gets distilled to about 55%.
55, yeah.
And so you have to add a lot of water to get it from 55 to 40. Right. At Fortaleza, because we only distill to 46%, you're adding a lot less water. So you're getting a lot more of the flavor of the agave, the terroir, the minerality of the soil.
Yeah, the yield is suffering, obviously, but you get the quality for sure. Like for me, the biggest compliment was when I was a part of the 86 company, and I was in charge of product development, and I really loved making tequila, and so I learned a great deal. I really was traveling a lot and working there with the distillers. And when I tasted Guillermo on the Cabeza tequila that I was a part of, he said, "Wow, this is really good. This drink's really good. This is 42%. I'm like, yeah. So that was kind of the biggest compliment I could have gotten. Yeah. So kind of a stamp of approval, like a Chuck Norris stamp of approval.
There you go.
This episode was brought to you by, hold on, no one. Brands, marketing companies, liquor companies, distributors, importers. This is your chance to become part of 4 a.m. Chicken Soup. Now, don't forget, we are picky, as are you. This could be you. But wait, there is more. If you reach out until January 30th, 2025, we will give you 2 episodes of sponsorship for the price of 1. Now, that's a deal you definitely cannot refuse. Stay legendary. Yeah, well, that's amazing. So what do you guys think about where our industry is going these days? How are you guys, managing? Because, I manage my restaurants from afar in a sense, because I'm fortunate to have really good partners and really good teams, but it took years to build. How about you?
Well, personally for me, it's been an interesting change coming out here, because everywhere I worked in New York was people my age or older, or like veterans of the industry. And now I work with people that are a lot younger than myself. And it's interesting to see like the education that's there and also what's lacking. And there's a lot of young managers coming up and they're really excited to do the big things, and a lot of bartenders that kind of want to skip steps, and that was the thing. Like, no shade to my sweet busser, but he's like, I could be a bartender. I've seen it on TikTok. It's so easy. Like, you gotta do that. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, absolutely.
So bypassing, I think that's kind of a big thing these days.
And people just think they can skip a ton of steps and just do the thing. And I don't feel like, you probably can. I just think there's certain essential parts of what we do that gets missed if you're just watching stuff on YouTube, or you're just watching,
So how did you learn to bartend?
Oh gosh, I kind of got thrown into it. I was working at the Four Seasons in Hawaii, and I was 19 at the time. Not supposed to be bartending, I think, at that point, or couldn't drink anyway. I was not 21 yet, and I was just an intern for the Four Seasons, like learning management, all that. And one of the local guys that's like the cool bartender, he was like, it's all dudes, right? And I'm the only girl there. And he's like, you're going to make us a lot more money because you're hot. Like, go, I'm like 19, 20, whatever. And he's like, I'm going to show you how to do this. So it started off making like Mai Tais and lava flows, like learning how to use a blender. I'm like, is this bartending? I don't know. But it's, but resort style, whatever. And then just kind of always end up falling into it because I did management for a long time. I served for a long time. And then it would be like, the bartender called out, or they're hungover, or something happened, and I'd have to step in, and it's like, okay, how do I start this? And then just getting really into it, because I dated a ton of bartenders, and they're always like doing their thing. And so it was like studying at home and, tasting things and discovering you really have a palate for something and it's enjoyable. I come from a family of artists, so that kind of feels like it ties in creatively. But yeah, and then just kind of picked it up. And now I feel like in the last couple of years, I'm a lot older than I feel like most people when they started bartending for real. And it's been really like cool to be like, okay, like I get it now. I get why people wanted to do this, 10 years ago. And I just kind of feel a little late to the game, but also like, it's so fun. It's so awesome connecting with people and like being able to create something that someone really enjoys, and leaving them with like an interesting experience, Right.
No, I totally understand that. Yeah, I think it's important that there's always somebody to look up to and to work with that can actually non-verbally teach you the finesse that you cannot really learn from TikTok or YouTube or books necessarily.
No shade to those resources, but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. I think, I know in my case, I was very fortunate that I studied with Dale DeGroff, and then I had other mentors who made sure that I understood that this is not an art form. This is a trade. It's important to know that you are learning a trade which down the road will keep you fed and sheltered. God forbid something happens, right? Yeah. So what brings you a smile on your face when you were bartending? What did you like about it?
People, 100%. So I love people. Yeah. I love meeting people, learning other people's stories. That's one of the passions, all the traveling I've done. But that's the one thing I would always tell to the new guys, the barbacks or the new bartenders. I said the most important thing to me in this industry is that I don't care if somebody's spending $2 or $200. When they leave here, I want them to think, I'm really glad I went there.
Right.
Yeah, I want it to be a kind of place that everybody feels comfortable. And then the cocktails, of course.
Right.
But I worked in a lot of places, it was more of like beer and a shot. So it was more about the interaction with the guests and remembering people and remembering the stories. And but the cross section of the population that you meet when you're working, when you're behind a bar, for me is second to none. It's just such an honor, I think being in service to people in any capacity is the highest achievement. And being behind a bar, you are in service to everybody who walks through that door.
I love that. I actually say the same things to when Lauren saw me when at an event for the United States Bartending Guild in Orange County, and it was about that. It was about what are we doing? How do you actually work a shift and not get upset? And what do you remember? And what you just mentioned, I think for me everything shifted when I realized that I'm so privileged to be of service. That it actually feeds me in a sense. It's an energy increasing process for me. And so, but it took a while. It took a while. I love people too, but it took a while to sustain that awareness of privilege, that mindset over 8, 10, 12-hour shifts.
And you stop liking people towards the end of the night and you're like, can you just not?
But
But yeah, it's like being patient.
But it's not necessarily just your guests, right? No, it's your team, it's your management, like they're texting with, or flirting with somebody instead of voiding checks, and you want to like hit them with the shaker, Yeah. I mean, that's great, man. I feel that these days we have kind of a challenge with the younger generation. Maybe I'm just being an old fuck, and that probably is true. But no, but that's I am accusing myself of it. I'm trying to be objective as much as I can. But I think that people kind of don't really want to do this much. I guess there is a lack of instant gratification in this industry. What are your guys' thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like exactly that. Instant gratification is something that is so in the forefront of everything now. It's like if you're not instantly successful, I don't want to do it. And I feel like that's most people, even growing up as through adulthood, when you're a kid and you're learning something and it takes time and you're developing who you are. As adults, when we try to learn a new skill, if we're not instantly good at it, it's like, well, I don't want to do this, or I'm not good at it, or like, I don't want to try. And I have found that to be very true in service specifically, because it is easy money, but you still have to work for it. Like there's still an amount of labor that goes in, and it's not just chatting with guests. It's how you're building up your, setting yourself up for success and cleaning at the end of the night. And that's the stuff that people don't. You're like, I don't want to do this. This is too hard.
Where's
it
my
sucks.
roadie?
Yeah, exactly. I just want to go. Do drugs in the bathroom. Like I don't know. I don't know what kids do these days, but they want to just get off and go hang with their friends. And it's like, but you still have to do the work. You still have to tie everything together so that it's a pretty package for the next person. And it's just that the instant gratification is surely a detriment at this point, because everything around us is so commodified and created to be like, shiny, happy, like all the notifications and whatnot. And bartending is, it's a lot more than that.
Mind the gap, I say.
Yeah, there you go.
Mind the gap, I think. Exactly. I think, like, what do you think?
Well, you made a really good point that bartending is a trade, and you don't start any trade knowing how to do everything. So you need to learn, you need to be quiet and keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. And I mean, you did it. I know, well, I did it because when I first started working in a bar, I was bussing, I was bar backing, and I'm paying attention to what's going on. And the bartenders sometimes are yelling at you, sometimes you find a bartender who just kind of takes you under their wing and says, okay, pay attention, this is what you need to be aware of. And you learn the dance, you learn the flow of how to be efficient, and you learn from the bartenders, I mean, you're going to see some that you respect what they do, and others that you're like, okay, I don't need to learn from that person.
Right.
You can always pay. You can always, yeah, you learn what not to do. Like
That's as important.
this is such a simple thing, but it used to drive me bonkers. Because when we'd be opening beer bottles, I would always throw the top in the trash can.
Yeah.
And the bartender I worked with all the time, love him dearly, would always just be the cool guy and just popping tops all over the place. So at the end of the night,
Ice well, it's on the floor.
it's everywhere. And at the end of the night, you're cleaning bottle tops, and you're like, dude, it would have taken you a split second. You would have had, I like a clean bar.
Same. Keep it
A clean bar is a happy bar, and it would drive me
100%.
bonkers.
I served in the military. I'm obsessive about that.
Yeah, that's spectacular.
No,
so,
for sure.
that's one of the things that was for sure. That's.
Do you find that there's
Just
probably
kidding.
like less mentors going around now that like
I've been out of. I haven't been working behind a bar
Yeah.
in quite a few years, and I think so because when I do go into a bar, I notice clearly if the bartender is like old school, if the bartender is paying attention. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a place and they give you a cursory look, go back to what they're doing, and then eventually find their way down and they're like, "Yo, what do you need?" Instead of being welcoming, instead of being engaging. So I most certainly see that, and
that takes 2 seconds, but people are just, they're in their own world sometimes. I've been guilty of that before too, honestly. So I get it.
But you make up for it the second you realize that you're not. I mean, your responsibility is to your guest first and foremost, and oftentimes I would look at it. I would take care of my guests before I would take care of what management wanted me to do sometimes because they pay the bills.
That's right. So. Yeah, I think a bartender. One of the lessons I learned is that you are a one-person LLC. Because
you're building your regulars.
You're building your return business. In this industry, I think the crucial thing is return business. If you do not have that, you can't project much. Because you never know how many people are going to walk through your door. I mean, look at LA. We open Employees Only LA. Like, we decked it out. It was awesome, right? And so we open up and, the reservations are booked for days, weeks. And then, once you open the restaurant, like half of the place is empty. And I'm like, where are the people? I mean, we had the reservations. Where are they?
Triple booked elsewhere, right?
What people do, for example, in LA, I didn't know, is that they, three of us want to meet up on Friday night, go out drinking. You make a reservation over there, you make a reservation over there, I make a reservation here. And we get together, I have, where are we going to go? And then we decide, and the other two places end up sucking it. While,
I didn't realize that was a thing. Is that an LA thing? Or
it's
is that
a very LA thing.
Wow, I was not aware of that.
They charge you for that now. After COVID, you get charged if you don't show up. But I mean, it's true. It's like you kind of have the cards to be like, I got this, that, and that. What do you got? Okay, I'll take that. Let's do that. Yeah.
If you've got 80 covers, you're going to staff for that. And if all of a sudden 30 show up,
and in this state, like labor laws are obscene. Mm-hmm. You don't get, you don't get.
That was the biggest difference from New York to here. If you were asking me earlier, I was like, the labor laws. I'm like, what? I have to take a break?
Breaks drive me bonkers because you've built a relationship with your guest, and then you've got to say, I'll be back in half an hour. I mean,
see you later.
It's
so
I was used to working straight through, whether it was 9-hour shifts or whatever, but you learn. To this day, I still eat a little too quickly because I'm used to just shoveling the food down when you have that opportunity.
And you're sent for a break. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's just it's not good for the server and it's not good for the guest. It's not good for the bartender, good for the guest. So who's it good for? I mean, it's designed for people who work in an office.
Right.
It's not designed for people in our industry.
Yeah, I think that's all loop-sided, and I think that I don't know how or if that's going to ever be addressed or looked at or hopefully changed, but it does prevent somebody to really focus on their guests and focus, because it takes a while. People sit down, you pour them a glass of water, you pour them a glass of water. Like here during the drought, they had like this law where you couldn't offer unless they ask for a glass of water. Whereas glass of water is like the ultimate hospitality gesture. Welcome.
This allows you. This is your spot. This
Right.
is your seat, please.
Right. When exactly when you mark a guest with like this 4x4 piece of real estate, it's kind of this is what you're paying for. You know, so I think this is kind of so that return business regulars, like building regulars, I think is the crucial thing.
Some of my dearest friends I've met through my time behind the bar, 100%.
Same here. Same here. All right, time to make some drinks. What'd you say? Okay, so let's first make like something non-alcoholic for yeah, why not? All right. So Mitch, yeah, we're gonna do a shout out since we're doing shout outs today to a few people. Let me see if I can have, we're still gonna do like a proper experience here. Can you have bitters or no?
Sure.
You can have bitters.
I will go ahead and have bitters.
All right. Okay.
Not half a bottle though.
Yeah.
No, not half a bottle. My friend Age from San Francisco, the owner of Elixir, who just, I think, celebrated 20 years. He's a wonderful guy. He's involved in this Fresh Victor company. They make really beautiful juices, mixtures of juices. And because, you're into tequila, I found this Mexican lime and agave.
Sounds delicious.
So I figured I'd make you kind of a fake Paloma.
Works for me. Thank you so
If you
much.
are up for it.
Indeed.
Yeah, why not? And since you're writing, I will be very careful with the bitters.
Yeah, what are you writing?
So I was fortunate. So I've always ridden. I've got a dual sport BMW that I've been riding that I've ridden all over the place. And but about 3 weeks ago, I crossed paths with a gentleman who was selling a virtually brand new Kawasaki KLR Adventure, and the price was very, 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 very nice.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pass it up.
So this is a new
And
baby.
this is a new. It had
Wow.
482 miles on
Are
it.
you serious?
And
Wonder why he sold it.
I asked him the exact same
Yeah, like,
question,
what's
and he
up?
said that he was he sold it because he's 67, and then when I saw the bike, I saw that he'd laid the bike down, and I said,
Yep.
he said he's going to stick with strictly on the road, so
Yeah.
and not so much.
Harleys that just
He's got one of those.
Yeah,
so,
totally, for sure.
but
Oh, that's beautiful. My goodness.
How about you, Lauren? Can I make like you're the whiskey? Can I make you finally like a whiskey cocktail?
I was waiting for you to ask.
All right.
Yes,
So
please. Thank
before
you.
we open employees only, there was this event at the Oak Bar at the Plaza in New York back in the day that's when I first met Gaz Regan, God rest his soul, and Dave Wondrich, and all these other like the old dudes that were kind of hidden. Nobody knew about them, but all of a sudden, they were this. Dale DeGroff was there, and they were kind of doing these archaic cocktails. Audrey Saunders was there. So I walk in, and I tried this drink. This was like the kind of one of the original Manhattan recipes. And I fell in love. I felt that this is like, because the Manhattan, the way they were making Manhattans was just a huge shot of whiskey, a little bit of vermouth.
Favorite Rye-tini.
If you were lucky, somebody would put some bitters in it, and it was just, for me, it was something was off with that drink. And then I tasted this version, and then later on I learned that it was actually published at Harry Johnson's Bartender's Manual, and it was referred to as the old formula number 2. So if you allow me.
A little late 1800s cocktail. I don't mind if I do.
Let me be the geek.
I do as well.
I'm going to use a bonded rye.
Nice.
Do you like? I like this. I like this rye. I like this rye whiskey because it's young, it's unruly, it's super spicy, and I think it works great in cocktails. So I'm not going to tell you the recipe necessarily because we're here like no bartender really discusses recipes. We're just talking, and I make drinks. Right?
Thank you so much.
Oh, please.
What a wonderful way to spend an afternoon.
It's 4 a.m. What are you talking about?
Right, totally.
3:30 right now.
Yes, basically. It might be when we're done here. We'll see what happens. They'll edit out the next 6 hours, and then they'll cut to a chase. We're just drinking soup, drinking soup, and passing out. So.
The difference between the Manhattans that you would usually get and this one is that this has orange curacao.
Let's do it.
And I was loving that because it kind of brings the whole drink together. And it's actually, you would think, oh, it's kind of sweet or something, but it's actually not. So you'll see and you'll tell me how well I did it, Okay, but don't spare me. And then, I'll put some bitters.
Review, yes, after
I'll put
tequila.
some bitters just to balance the whole thing out. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I was lucky to get a proper cold draft ice machine. So
How'd that work again? I think you told me that story.
yeah.
It's a very fun story, which
No,
I
that's
find
my
yours.
Cybertruck. It looks like the Cybertruck. So I was doing a hospitality teaching for a friend of mine who was, managing this place in LA, and they were just about to open. And so at the end, he's like, before they gave me the check, he's like, oh, "We have this machine, this ice machine. Do you know somebody who might buy it off us?" And I'm like, "How about you don't pay me and I take the machine?"
Hey, the barter system works every time.
Barter is the way.
Never pass
So
it up.
I ended up with a total gem, and it's been really, really nice here at the barrage.
Is it forward every time, making delicious cocktails.
Absolutely.
Also, can we appreciate how long your stir is? That's a great little long boy bar spoon. I had one like that, and it got lost in my.
I think these are super cool.
I love it. No, it's great.
I
It's
mean,
just
the
so
short
long.
ones are like, this is like, this is,
a wizard's staff or something.
I guess, right? And yeah.
Anyway, just a little appreciation for a long boy there.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Actually, years ago when I was bartending, I had a friend of mine who kept on turning his back on his drink because he was talking to the gal next to him. And so I put together a number of straws, and then from a distance, I drank down his cocktail.
Drink your milkshake.
Yeah, another difference with this Manhattan to with kind of the regular Manhattans, if you will, or the contemporary ones, is that this one has a lemon twist as a garnish. So here we go. You're actually getting the employees only original coupe. So I promised you a proper drink. Here we go, ma'am.
Are you doing something with us?
Oh, I'm still
Just gonna sip on your
on my tequila, but cheers.
So we need a proper cheers.
Welcome to the
Thank
barrage.
you. Yes, happy to be here.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes. Even with the Rittenhouse being as high proof as it's like, that's beautiful. That's
the
beautiful.
thing. I think that's the point of this cocktail is like that. If you don't use a bonded rye or something, higher proof, the recipe calls for almost equal measures of vermouth and whiskey, and then you add the orange curacao into it, and then all of a sudden, it's off balance. But because it's good, right?
Do you feel a little jealous? I'll let you try it if you want.
Very jealous.
Oh, you
can always-
but this is lovely.
you
Straw
can-
taste
No, I was feeling jealous when I was looking at your agave selection behind the bar. Because I could live on agave. If I were, I've said this before, but if I could only drink one thing for the rest of my life, well, other than water, it'd be the still strength Tequila Fortaleza. It's just like, for me, it's
so
just,
good.
yeah.
God, that thing is fantastic. I remember when. Oh, please.
Delicious,
delicious,
healthy,
right?
happy to wellness and fortitude.
I felt inappropriate cheersing with a non-alcoholic beverage, but
Forgive you.
but there is a touch of there's a touch of bitters in here. So
We can also
go, yeah.
pretend, I'm sure you could
So-
sub something in there, put some tequila in there, it'd be perfect. So.
So why did you take a month off? Do you do that often?
Yeah, what's
I
the bender?
do that
Sorry, just
often, but in actuality, and this is so I'm about to go into a retreat situation where I'm actually going to be doing a plant medicine from West Africa called iboga or ibogaine.
I love where this conversation is
And-
going.
Yeah, this is.
And This is a plant medicine that's used. I have a lot of friends that have served. I'm a civilian. I've never served in the military, but I have a lot of friends that have served overseas and have a lot of PTSD, TBI, traumatic brain injury. Iboga is used often to help people get off of opioid addiction with no withdrawal. It's just a brutal 1-day experience, more or less, and then evidently you're cleared out of your system. It also allows you to get insanely introspective and see your entire life clearly. And this is where I'm about to get beat. I think I'm fine. I'm not doing this because I feel that I have issues. I'm doing this specifically so I have firsthand experience, so I can share it with any friends of mine who may have anxiety about it.
So important.
And basically, because I love to present, one of the things you and I have talked about before, I go down to Mexico for cancer screenings and treatments, and with amazing results. This is also something that's not legal in the United States, so I'm leaving the country to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm going in. I want to be.
Surprised.
Yeah.
I'm,
Sure, we could talk about the healthcare
shocked
system
that
another
stuff
time,
is
but
illegal,
So this is something that I want to have firsthand knowledge and experience. So if anybody presents as needing this sort of intervention or assistance, I'll be able to speak with firsthand knowledge instead of saying, "Oh, I've heard of blah blah blah."
Right.
I want to be able to say, "Hey, this is something I've done, something I've experienced. This is what you will expect, and let me connect you with the people who can help you." And that's basically how this whole thing came about, and that's why I'm sober for
Hey, you know
for
what,
this
that's way
month.
better
So-
than
I
a
think
3-day
I did just come back from Dia de Muertos in Oaxaca, so I definitely was drinking
Yeah.
mezcal down there. But when I returned to the United States after that, I've been sober for the last couple of weeks, and I'm gonna go. Actually, is today Tuesday?
Yes.
Sure.
A week from today. I don't know when this is being released, but on Tuesday, November 26th, I will be crossing the border, and I'll see you sometime in December and
On
let you
the
know how
other
things
side,
went.
my
Yeah,
friend, yeah.
exactly.
Did you have any experiences with other plant medicines, or or is this your first time?
When I lived in Thailand, the opportunity to ayahuasca was present, and whenever it was present, I didn't feel ready. When I felt ready, it didn't feel right, or the person who was providing didn't feel a connection, and I'm like, not going to do it. So, plant medicine wise, I've worked with psilocybin in the past, or magic mushrooms. And with amazing clarity, and I feel there's amazing things Western medicine does, but I think we're missing out on a super important aspect of lost knowledge, because they're culturally and historically for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years, human beings have been using plants. I read a book a few years back called The Immortality Key by Brian Morescu. And as I'm reading this, it just opened my mind. It blew my mind. I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
Because here's a guy who has never done any type of narcotic, any type of drug, and he was just from what I understand, just a deep researcher, and he was finding connection to the eliciting mysteries that are basically responsible for democracy, in Athens 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And he found that they were utilizing plant medicine, ergot, or there were vessels. I think it was ergot that
And wormwood too.
and wormwood. Exactly. So. So absinthe, that the wormwood connection.
do it, yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I'm sober at the moment. So
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you for sharing. That's so
absolutely, yeah. I'm a little nervous to talk about it, but yeah.
Don't be. I don't think. Well, I feel you. I mean, it seems there is a taboo about that still going on. I mean, I have certainly experimented with a bunch of plant medicines, right? And it did help me a great deal, especially psilocybin through pandemic. I suffered for the first time in my life I was depressed. The pandemic came kind of at the tail end of a bunch of personal kind of really difficult times, and it was kind of the final hit, and I was just experiencing this really unhappy place, and the Western medicine didn't help, but microdosing did, and it took a while. Yeah, I had to be, how you call it, disciplined and followed through. But it did. Eventually, I kind of found a way back to myself, and I played. I took part in a lot of ayahuasca retreats, some DMT. I think it helps. I think it's a shortcut. I don't think it's in my experience, I don't think it's a solution necessarily for anything. But it does provide you with a perspective that you necessarily don't have when you're in your regular kind of little bubble, right?
You're open to receive that.
Yeah. Have you ever played with that?
I haven't, but my parents are hippies and have definitely recommended all the things.
Come your name Lauren and not River?
Oh, do you want to hear my 6 middle names?
Please.
I can't believe it. So short Lauren Campbell, right? But it's Lauren Amber Dawn China Charisse Ashby Campbell. So Amber Dawn is Amber-Dawn with 2 N's.
Okay, that's a legit
so
hippie name.
there you go.
Okay.
And it's, because I'm quarter Native American. My mom was like, well, when the sun was coming through the window in Los Angeles, it was the Amber Dawn and all this other stuff and paying homage to all sorts of stuff. But
my Starbucks name is Ocean.
Ocean.
Yeah,
Perfect.
because they can't
pronounce
say
Dushan.
Dushan, right? So
but Ocean makes sense for California. I
they're
know.
like, that's a cool name. I'm like, and I'm lying my ass off. I'm like, oh yeah, my parents are hippies.
Yeah, but for
Sure, yeah, but no. But as far as plant medicine, absolutely, I have a lot of friends that do what you're talking about, microdosing and all that, and it's certainly something that if I had more free time in my life, that I would give into that and kind of let that enter my life. But I haven't had the opportunity yet, so we shall see. get a little sponsor in here that's like, hey, come down to Central America. I will be in Costa Rica next week, so maybe we'll see what happens next week. Yeah, Playa Grande, I believe. Yeah, we're flying into Liberia Airport. It's for my other job that isn't bartending. They're hosting it.
Costa Rica, Liberia.
Yes, Liberia. Oh gosh, yes. Thank you. See, I've only seen it written. How about that? My work bill showing.
So what are you going to be doing in Costa Rica?
Just hanging out. We have a team retreat, which is really exciting.
So this is
for the real estate stuff.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're all a bunch of veterans, and they have their whole family that works for them, and it's a really cool opportunity to just go. Because their whole thing is about, living life with more opportunity. So, you can talk about passive wealth. What do you do when you're done bartending, right? Like when your arms are broken and your back hurts, and like, what do you do when you want to, what's the next step? And that's something that I figured out during the closures and the lockdowns in New York. So we're going out there. It's a tax write-off, and we get to hang out. Half the team lives there, so that's kind of the point. That yes. So I've been to Costa Rica once before, but I was very young and very broke, and. Yeah, this is going to be a much more exciting adult experience. But if some fun plant medicine comes my way, I will not refuse it.
You want to go in as clean as possible.
Correct.
So you,
No
ideally,
alcohol,
truthfully, you should be with mushrooms specifically, from what I understand. You should also go in without red meat in your body for.
I don't eat red meat, so there you go.
Well, there you go.
It's easy.
Good for you. See, there you go. You're already there. So guys, I'm just looking at the clock. It's last call almost.
Oh my goodness.
You guys ready for some chicken soup?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'll eat white meat whenever.
Okay.
There you go.
It's last call. Thank you so much for coming and doing this. Yeah. Here's some chicken soup, because I gotta make sure that you guys get I'll have some too.
So whose recipe is this?
Well, this is kind of our chef Julia. Our chef Julia, from Employees Only. She actually perfected that soup, and it's in our cocktail book as well. And it's been kind of the thing, people really, really kind of identify us with this soup. And it was my idea in a sense, because when I started bartending 21 years old in Greece, right during the summer. And,
Which island?
Eos. All the way
Dude.
out there.
Dude, yep, nope.
You know where it
Yeah,
is.
of course.
It takes the ferry like, I don't know, half a day to get there or longer. And, I was working this Irish pub, opening, beers, pouring beers, and pouring some really bad tequila, like
We all
Mixtos,
start somewhere. We all
like
start somewhere.
Emilio Zapata was the brand, or Two Fingers or something,
I remember Two Fingers Black Bottle.
Yeah, there you
Two-
go.
Oh my lord.
Taking you way back. Huh?
Yeah, actually, one of my dearest friends met her husband on the island of Eos. They
Really?
were just hanging out and friends. They never hooked up there. And then a
Beautiful
year
place.
later, they've been together now 20, probably 5 years. Yeah. So
So, anyways, this is the soup because I found that the Greeks drink soup in the morning when they go home. So,
Chicken soup, cheers.
cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you
Welcome
so
and
much.
thank you so much for this. This was so cool.
This is so special. I'm very honored.
Yum.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So this is like, it's the perfect end to an evening, especially if you're very drunk.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's just so good. Thank you. It pairs well with, little Manhattan situation over here.
Right.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well,
We wish you a good journey, man.
thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'll
come back and tell us
follow
all
up in
about it.
December.
I will
Please.
happily follow up.
Please, yeah, come back and tell us all about it. I'm super excited about that.
Lauren, thank you for being a rock star that you are, and even wearing a motorcycle jacket,
Yeah, with
which
no motorcycle,
Mitch
which all
Mitch and I totally approve of, obviously,
you.
because we're from the generation
You guys
of.
need
Teach me how to ride a motorcycle then, because, I only know how to ride a really nice bike and
That's
not
okay.
kill myself.
Yeah, we'll teach you.
Please.
We'll teach you for sure. Thanks, you guys.
You.
Love you. Bye.